afternoon, Mayor Hars, Dr. Fitzgerald, Dr. Pfeiffer, board members, and administrators, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the groundbreaking ceremony. I'm Jeffrey Price, Student Council President of Hillside School. Hillside is a special place to me. If someone were to drive by and say, oh look, there's the school, I would say, no, it's more than a school. It's where I spend most of my time, and it's like my home. And as a student in Closter, I've seen many changes. The construction is the latest change to take place, and certainly the biggest. Schools will be enlarged, but hopefully the greatness will stay the same. I wish to thank everyone for sharing this day. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the ribbon-cutting ceremony in September 1996. Now, I would like to announce the new school colors. The selection process of the school mascot and school colors was done wholly by the students, now in grades 3, 4, 5, and 6, who will be in grades 5 through 8 in the Tenakill Middle School in September 1996. In the choice of the school colors, an attempt was made to bring together the existing colors of Village and Tenakill schools. Village colors have traditionally been green and white. Tenakill's colors have been both blue and white and blue and gold. In order to include both school colors in the final choice, two opinions were presented: green representing Village and either gold or blue representing Tenakill. The chosen colors were and the new school colors are green and gold.
Thank you, Dr. Pfeiffer, Dr. Fitzgerald, honored guests, students, and parents. I'm excited to be here today and look forward to returning here in 1996 as a 7th grader. It is an honor for me to speak to all of you and be a part of this ceremony. Here at Tenakill, I have felt very much at home. I'll always remember walking through the halls and feeling safe, secure, and warm. Sometimes very warm. I am looking forward to the new school, its new gymnasium, new classrooms, including a science lab, new library, and better technology. I'd just like to take a moment to explain how the mascot was picked. Each homeroom was asked to nominate a mascot. Grades 3 through 6 voted on the nominees. It was learned later that one of the nominees was already chosen for one of the Closter recreation teams. So a second vote was held. We've been waiting and waiting anxiously. And now, your brand new Tenakill Middle School mascot is the Closter Cougars.
Thank you both, Jeffries, for a great job. Mayor Stephen B. Hars has lived in Closter with his wife, Rochelle, and his 2 children for 10 years. Before becoming mayor, Mr. Hars was a member of the Closter Planning Board for 7 years, serving as chair for the last 3 years. He has practiced law for 19 years and heads up the labor and employment group at the Newark law firm of Robinson, St. John, and Wayne. Prior to becoming an attorney, Mayor Hars was a teacher at the elementary and high school levels. It's my pleasure to present the Honorable Stephen B. Hars.
Members of the Board of Education, Dr. Pfeiffer, Dr. Fitzgerald, administrators, residents of Closter, and other friends. This is a great day for Closter. It's often been said that any time there's construction of a new school, you have the positive beginning of the reconstruction of society. There is no more fundamental an element than education, which is responsible for the growth of both society as a whole and the growth of the person in that society. Education provides us with a society that has a greater understanding of all the issues and concerns that affect all of our lives: political, cultural, social, and economic issues. It also provides us with an individual who is far more knowledgeable generally, certainly more intellectual, far more enlightened, one who insists upon greater amounts of liberty, and one with a greater sense of value. What does this mean to Closter? Well, it means to Closter that we'll work toward helping Closter become a stronger town with a stronger people. People more tolerant, people who will help us carry the town through the difficult issues this town always seems to face. I want to end with just a brief quote from the educator Thomas Henry Huxley, who lived in the middle of the 1800s. Huxley said, "Perhaps the most valuable result of all education is the ability to make yourself do the thing you have to do when it ought to be done, whether you like it or not. It's the first lesson that ought to be learned," he said. "But however early a person's training begins, unfortunately, it's probably the last lesson that's learned thoroughly." Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hart. And now, I'm proud and pleased to present our keynote speaker. Dr. Mary Lee Fitzgerald is one of the most respected individuals in education today. As New Jersey's Commissioner of Education during Governor Jim Florio's administration in 1993 and 1994, she played a major role in the New Jersey Works initiative. This project provided jobs throughout the state and made low-cost loans available to communities for improving their school facilities. More than half the funds to support the project that we are celebrating today were obtained through this program at interest rates as low as 1.5%. During her administration, Dr. Fitzgerald was unique. She was a politically independent commissioner, respected by all those who knew her, who worked with local school districts to improve instruction and to streamline the state bureaucracy. Dr. Fitzgerald has been an educator since 1959. She has worked as a teacher, an instructional supervisor, assistant superintendent for personnel and training, and assistant superintendent for instruction. As superintendent of the Montclair, New Jersey Public Schools from 1982 through 1993, she established a model district of magnet schools that offered district-wide parent choice. Dr. Fitzgerald earned her bachelor's degree in education from the University of Arizona, her master's in education from the University of Colorado, and her doctorate in education from Rutgers University. As a result of her educational leadership and her extensive record of community involvement, Dr. Fitzgerald has received many awards for being an outstanding educator and for community service. She's been awarded several honorary degrees in education, and she has served as Distinguished Fellow at Harvard University's School of Education. Please join me in welcoming the former New Jersey Commissioner of Education and current founding director of the Principal Center of the Garden State, Dr. Mary Lee Fitzgerald.
Governor Florio so wanted to be here today, New Jersey Works was an important priority in his administration. Actually, I can remember sitting in a cabinet meeting when it was first proposed, and I was an immediate supporter. Since I had been a superintendent for so long myself, I knew how badly districts needed capital for construction costs, and low-cost loans seemed such a logical incentive. Dr. Pfeiffer reminded me on the telephone of a meeting I held with superintendents soon afterwards to encourage superintendents to escalate their planning for new construction, to be ready to take advantage of this initiative, which had not yet been formally announced. It's so gratifying to be here today and see what happened in Closter as a result of New Jersey Works. Providing a quality education for New Jersey's children takes a good many things. We all know that, but funding certainly is one. We owe it to our children to invest not only our intellect, but our resources in their future. That willingness to invest, even in difficult times, was a critical component in New Jersey Works. It was a recognition that even with the finest teachers, the most devoted parents, the most supportive of communities, the best learning cannot occur in an inadequate setting. We're hearing a good deal today about the diminution in what we used to call the public spirit or public spiritedness, to be involved in making communities and cities work, to energetically seek compromise and consensus in matters affecting us all, and the quality of our common life. There does appear to be a civic decline in America, a leveling down of social responsibility, of making a structured commitment to each other. It would seem we need not only to reinvent government, but to reinvent citizenship, to recognize that what affects some of us ultimately affects all of us. When I worked in Trenton, I went all over this state talking to people about schools and children and urging them to understand the critical priority of education, how the achievement of kids in Newark and in Camden, over in Scotch Plains, here in Closter, affected all of us, that these were all our children, whether or not we were the biological parents, that these were New Jersey's future, and we had an obligation to do everything possible to assure their success. Communities have many priorities, and today with only 22% of families in New Jersey with children in schools, the educational agenda is oftentimes compromised. So for me, today is a great occasion, clearly an investment by this community in the future of Closter school children. It's also a statement of trust and belief in the teachers who will teach the thousands of children in these two schools over the years, in the Board of Education and the administration who faithfully oversee this system, in the parents and families of this school community who are, after all, the most formative influence in their children's lives, and the belief in the students themselves, that they matter to this community, that their future is held as a common obligation, with the hope and the expectation they will become the thoughtful, conscientious citizens